What a resounding victory for the Golden State Warriors. And they got another big game this weekend. Kevin Danna joins us. Dieter, you stoked? Are we all ready?
I'm stoked for Kevin. Do we have to break down last night's game?
Let's go, baby.
Let's do it. This is Locked On Warriors.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen. We're free and available wherever you get podcasts. And today's episode is brought to you by Rock Auto. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. Visit rockauto.com and tell them Locked On sent you. He's Dieter Kurtenbach. You can follow him on Twitter at Dieter. Kevin Danna, you can follow him on Twitter at Kevo408. He's the voice of the Santa Cruz Warriors. Gentlemen, let's start off first things first with a recap of last night's dominant win. I know, Dieter, you didn't seem that excited to talk about it, but it was a win.
I'm glad that we have Kevin here because I need the expertise on about half of the players for the Portland Trailblazers. I imagine that Kevin, who's got the G-League encyclopedia up there between the ears, is a good resource here.
Man,
what a mess of a game! Like the NBA does kind of have a little bit of an issue when it comes to its product and sort of casual viewers. Some numbers came out today that were really interesting about viewership, and obviously the Bay Area is just dominating in terms of viewership for the Warriors this year, twice as much as any other market in terms of rating share. But I mean, there was a point not long ago where I prided myself on knowing every single player who was in the NBA. Like a new guy got called up for a 10-day contract, like I made sure that I was up on him just in case, because I was a firm believer that you never knew who was going to break through and who wasn't. Like I didn't trust that I could get away with not knowing anybody. But apparently, I don't know anybody anymore because that Portland Trailblazers team was just random as hell. Like good on him for playing a 6'4" guard out of Montana State in his second year. I mean that's cool, but they have a hell of a scouting department that they're able to find some dudes, and they gave the Warriors a run there a little bit early. And of course, we love Anthony Simons and all that, but it had the Warriors not won that game emphatically, and I know I said I might take Portland at plus 400 and was looking good for about 7 minutes, but
for 7 minutes exactly.
Had the Warriors not won that game, we would obviously be breaking it down, because once I saw the Portland Trailblazers, not in person, but across my television screen, I go, oh, they're too young to not realize that they're doing the wrong thing in this game, which is playing fast and allowing Steph Curry to play point guard. It was a gift from the schedule gods, Cyrus and Kevin. It was a gift from the schedule gods. If this team needed to get going right, here's the Portland Trailblazers for you.
Yeah. I love watching Agua Caliente Clippers legend Anthony Simons, mind you,
yes,
from his Agua Caliente days. And yeah, shout out to Keljin Blevins. Yes. I think that's the Montana State guy you're referring to. I think there is a relation to Damian Lillard somewhere. I think they might be cousins. I could be making that up. But
no, it would be the only way it'd really make any sense, Kevin. So I think you're
right. But yeah, no, it was fun. Definitely watching that game from a Golden State perspective, just seeing the balanced scoring, seeing 8 guys in double figures, and like you mentioned, Dieter, if you let the Warriors kind of get into that kind of flow offensively where they can just go up and down on you, I mean, Portland had defensive issues to start pretty much this entire season. Like they were second to worst before the new year, I think it was, and if you let them just run up and down, you're going to be in trouble. And all right, maybe you can make 75% of your first 16 shots, but you're not going to make 75% of your 75 shots in a game. So
take it one step further than that. Like the Blazers have been historically bad on defense for like a couple of years now.
Yeah.
And it's one of the reasons why CJ McCollum is now with the New Orleans Pelicans. You also had a situation where they had a guy who Eubanks out of, I believe, Oregon State. I was doing a lot of work with the media guide last night. 6'9" guy playing center for them. So Kevon Looney essentially got the night off. Like they were able to play. I thought some really interesting stuff with sort of the Otto Porter Jonathan Kuminga moments at center. They played a lot of 2-3 zone, especially in the first half when the game was still somewhat in the balance. I'm really interested to see if that's going to be a staple of this team moving forward, some 2-3 zone when they play smaller lineups. A really easy thing to get away with against Portland, not so easy against other teams, but it might provide a value. And I wouldn't even be surprised if it's something that happens once James Wiseman comes back. Not that James Wiseman isn't a wonderful defender, but he's 7 feet tall. The Warriors want to make sure that they have clear parameters around him, playing a 2-3 zone, pretty clear parameters. And if Jonathan Kuminga can be calling out the defense, they're all pros. It's not like you need the whole Jim Boeheim level of communication. Like, they know what they're supposed to be doing in a 2-3 zone. They can handle a dozen switches per offensive possession. They can handle a 2-3 zone, but putting him in the middle might be an interesting wrinkle for the Warriors when James Wiseman comes back, which, Cyrus, it's looking like it's soon, buddy.
Well, that's a huge reason we got Kevin Danna here. I mean, he's the voice of the Santa Cruz Warriors, and I want to give credit to the Warriors Reddit page or account. I have no idea who's behind that, but they're driving traffic to us. Thank you so much, whoever you are. And
shout out to Eric.
Eric.
Cyrus,
there you go.
Considering the amount of
his last name,
time
I'm sorry.
Cyrus, considering the amount of time you've been talking to the Warriors Reddit Twitter account, I'm surprised you didn't get the name.
I haven't talked to them that much. In my defense,
they have two guys who run it, Kevin and Eric. Kevin's like the salary cap dude, and Eric is the guy he lives in Santa Cruz or in the Santa Cruz area, and so he's at a lot of Santa Cruz games. So I know him pretty well. Really good dude.
Very cool.
But yeah, they blasted they captured a screen capture of the Santa Cruz Warriors roster, and it was upgraded this morning, and I caught that, and I was like, whoa, James Wiseman is there. I want to save that for after we come back from the commercial break, just because that's a whole segment. I mean, right. The Wiseman news is big, but first things first, we disparaged the Trailblazers last night, and rightfully so. But they're still they're a playing team right now. That's the shocking part.
It speaks to Simons, who is a good player, right, and is now getting the opportunity to really put that on full display, at least on one end of the court where he is a really good player. It doesn't speak very well to the NBA's play-in tournament situation, where the Lakers at sub 500 are very comfortably going to be playing in the play-in tournament, and Portland, who is deliberately trying to lose by their actions, can't seem to actually lose. So maybe the NBA needs to reevaluate some things. But good on the baby Blazers for keeping in the win column. I don't know, that situation up there in Portland's a mess. Obviously, ownership is a major question mark, just on the basis of the team is held in trust. They have an interim GM, a first-year head coach, superstar who oscillates between wanting to leave and wanting to stay full-time. They just got rid of their second best player. Now Nurkic is out for a long period of time. They're in a weird kind of purgatory too as a market, and I'm fascinated to see how that all develops. I love the city of Portland. I love the concept of the Blazers being an important part of the NBA, but it's very difficult for me to get my head around how they get back to where they were, which wasn't good enough in the near future, as opposed to sort of tanking out and going to the bottom, which I'm not sure if that's going to do anything either. So they're stuck in NBA purgatory, and I guess the Warriors pushed them deeper into that last night with that ass whooping.
Kevin, your thoughts on what Dieter just said?
Yeah, no, I mean, Dieter brings up a lot of really good points. Like, you are kind of in this what do we do kind of stage. I mean, a lot of it depends on what you can do with Damian Lillard. Everything he has said outward publicly is that, he wants to run it with one team, with Portland. Loyalties plays a big role in kind of his life, and I respect him for it. But like the best he and CJ did. Now, I still think, you get to the conference finals, you get swept by Golden State. 3 of those 4 games were competitive, very competitive.
Yes, they were.
They probably could have gotten 1 or 2 of those games, but they weren't going to win that series or anything. But all right, they weren't going to win a championship. But if you can consistently be one of the 8 best teams in the NBA, I think that's good enough. You're in the top 25%, essentially, top 25, top 30% of the league. And all right, they weren't going to win, but it's better than most teams. I'm not saying I disagree with trading CJ McCollum, but it did kind of run its course, and they had clearly slid from 3 years ago. But yeah, they're in a tough spot. That's for sure.
Yeah, they are.
a couple of things off of that. I mean, I think back to that 4-game series that the Warriors had with the Blazers in the Western Conference Finals. I mean, Alfonso McKinney looked like a superstar in that series.
Yes, he did. You're right. Good call on that. Yes,
you didn't have Kevin Durant in the lineup, and you're right, Kevin. Like, some of those games were competitive, and then the Warriors started trying. They just ran them off the court a couple times in a row, and I just remember, especially like games 3 and 4 at the Moda Center, the Rose Garden, whatever the hell you want to call it. Just thinking like, oh no, like this isn't good. Like the Warriors weren't engaging in a Western Conference. It felt very first roundy to me, in that the Warriors were just sort of messing around, and then it's like, I guess we'll try now. And then they did. It's like, yeah, they're trying without Kevin Durant. They're like, Alfonso, split action, go. I just remember that a lot. As for the Dame Lillard loyalty thing, like, yes, everything outwardly he said, at least that's been attributed to him, is all about loyalty. But what's Chris Haynes saying about the matter? It doesn't seem as if they're on the same page. And let's be real, that's the same page. So that's a hot mess. That doesn't pertain much to the Golden State Warriors getting off on the right start, other than they were the sacrificial lamb to get the good vibes going. And as Kevin pointed out, so many guys in double figures. You loved what you saw from Jonathan Kuminga. Damian Lee getting back into the rotation after a night off against Denver before the All-Star break. That was interesting. Curious to see how Steve Kerr handles it. I'm not sure we can read too far into this game just because of the peculiarity of Portland's lineup. But maybe some hints. We'll see. We'll get a little bit of a larger sample size here, a couple of games. We'll see if Nemanja Bjelica is really out of the rotation. We'll see if Damian Lee is really going to get this kind of a run. We'll see if they want to keep running with Kuminga and Otto Porter together at the 5. Plus, you're already staggering Steph and Clay in a significant amount of time. So, usually you come out of the break and you sort of show your hand a little bit for, hey,
absolutely,
this is what we thought about. We were, clear mind, full hearts. Let's see if we can't lose. And they try out some new stuff for sort of the home stretch. And I just don't know. While last night was a good vibe getter for sure, I just don't know if last night, because it's Portland, because it's effectively a G-League lineup, if not in some cases worse, because of so many things, I just don't know if it's indicative of what's to come. But, Dallas is coming to Chase Center on Sunday. They're playing like a brand new style of ball.
Yeah, they are. They're playing great,
which is a wild concept for a Luka Doncic team, it seems. They've gotten rid of, they're almost emulating the Warriors in some ways. I think Zach Lowe had that in his most recent column, that like they're starting to do a bit of a Warriors impression. And I watched it. I watched the video clip that he put in there, and it was like, oh yeah, he ain't lying. It's really cool and interesting to watch with the superstar player like Luka Doncic kind of going with a strength in numbers thing. That will probably be more indicative of, even without a true center, that will probably be even more indicative of what we should expect from the Warriors moving forward. But we got,
I totally agree.
I need to get G-League Warriors info.
We will. Let's pay some bills first. No, we will. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about Wiseman because he's in Santa Cruz, and we're going to see him soon. I mean, it's just a matter of time. It's
one quick thing before break, just to confirm. Yes, Keljin Blevins is the cousin of Damian Lillard.
There it is. The only way it made any sense.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, let's first talk about a couple of organizations that are paying our bills, and they've been longtime sponsors. Going to start things off, of course, with TrueBill. And Dieter, you've used this service. Do you mind sharing your experience?
I saved money because I was a sucker. And TrueBill made me no longer a sucker. It's a pretty straightforward analysis there. I recently switched credit cards. I recently decided to upgrade. We got some money coming. We're going to be putting some money out, really. And I'm like, hey, let's, a credit card that I'm using, I'm not so sure about it anymore. I'm not really getting any benefit from it anymore. Let's upgrade to a better credit card, and let's get some big old bonus points, because I know we're going to be spending that limit in these first couple of months, just sending some stuff out. And during that period of time, I did what TrueBill would do for you in seconds, which is go line by line and look at all the expenses, because you got to transfer them over to the new card, sort of the reoccurring stuff. And yeah, there was a couple of things that I canceled. That took me hours. And had I just remembered my great experience with TrueBill in the past, it could have taken me minutes, because TrueBill does basically all that for you. It goes line by line, all your statements, figures everything out, and then basically goes like, hey, dude, you still using this? And you're like, hell no, I'm not still using that. Get rid of that TrueBill. And they're like, don't worry, fam, we got it. And that's more or less TrueBill for you. And you can be a sucker like me or somebody who uses TrueBill.
Well, you're a former sucker now, and thanks to TrueBill. I'm
In so
still a
many
sucker. I need to get a lot of those expenses out myself. On average, people save up to $720 a year with TrueBill. Don't fall for subscription scams. Start canceling today at truebill.com/lockedonnba. Go right now, truebill.com/lockedonnba. Could save you thousands a year. And today's show is also brought to you by Rock Auto. With the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain parts auto store to stock all the parts you need. Why endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning like, is your Odyssey an LX or an EX? And wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer, choosing only the brand their warehouse happens to carry. You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket. Save time and money when using Rock Auto. Why choose to spend 30%, 50%, even 100% more for the same parts from a chain store or car dealership? An example being the Honda Odyssey fuel pump is $353 from a chain store, just $216 from Rock Auto. It's a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box, so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast. Nightly recaps of every NBA game with analysis from our local experts is free and available wherever you get podcasts. He's Dieter Kurtenbach. Follow him on Twitter at Dieter. Kevin Danna, the voice of the Santa Cruz Warriors, joins us today. Follow him on Twitter at Kevo408. Let's get to it, man. James Wiseman is going to be making an appearance in Santa Cruz. We saw the videos of his 5-on-5 scrimmages. What's the latest, gentlemen? What can we expect? What can we hope for?
Kevin? I mean, where is Santa Cruz going to be over the next couple of days? They're a constantly moving team. Are they at Chase Center this weekend?
So Santa Cruz is in Chase Center today to practice with James Wiseman. And sometimes NBA teams will do this to make it easier on an assignment player. Of course, Golden State is coming back from Portland late last night. So instead of having James Wiseman, go down to Santa Cruz, bring the team up to Chase Center. So they are practicing today at Chase Center. I don't think I read the Anthony Slater report saying it's unlikely he's going to play tomorrow. I don't have any info as to whether I don't think he's going to play. I don't know for sure, but I don't think he's going to play tomorrow. But I think at some point, I mean, the plan has been this season for him to eventually play in a Santa Cruz Warriors regular season game. I think at some point that's what they were hoping to do, but those things are pretty fluid. I mean, James Wiseman himself in a press conference, either like right before the All-Star break, said kind of alluded to playing in Santa Cruz. So I mean, from my perspective, I certainly hope it happens. But this assignment is for a practice, and I know people got excited when they saw his name pop up on the roster. Well, anytime a player gets assigned, if you check the roster, he'll pop up there, and he didn't have a number next to his name because he's never played in a G-League game. And the G-League website just kind of defaults to what your last number was when you played in the G-League. It's not necessarily the right number. So sometimes you'll see teams with 3 different number 15s or whatever on the official G-League website. The G-League. But I say that with all sorts of love in my heart. I love this league. But yeah, so this is for a practice, and then hopefully from a Santa Cruz perspective, it leads to games.
And something to keep in mind here, Cyrus. Okay, they're playing on Saturday. They get the Birmingham Squadron, the Pelicans G-League team, coming to Santa Cruz. That seems I'm with Kevin. I have a hard time seeing it. Obviously, Anthony Slater reporting that he has a hard time seeing it. I mean, I haven't heard anything about it, but that would be something that I think would be out there by now if it was expected that he was
Yeah.
going to play, because, well, I'd be there too. So that'd be an aspect, right? Like that would be something that a lot of beat writers would want to know. And it's Friday, so yeah, no.
Well, let me ask you guys this. Let me ask both of you this. What's the holdup at this point? I mean, he seems healthy. He's participating in multiple 5-on-5 scrimmages now.
He needs run, man.
What's the delay?
By the way, Klay Thompson did this, right? Like Klay Thompson practiced with Santa Cruz. Like
he did.
This is part of the Warriors process. And what's the
Love
delay?
the process.
What's the delay? Like the delay is that he scrimmaged twice, 5-on-5, and that's it. And by the way, like when you're scrimmaging 5-on-5, I'm just guessing. This is a guess. Full stop. Let's make sure that we don't get aggregated again here. This is a guess. I think that they're actually running like decent rotations in those scrimmages. They're trying to simulate a game in some way. So James Wiseman's not getting 20, 30 minutes of run, which they're going to want him to do. You want him to ramp it up. I know that that's not going to be necessary for him at the NBA level this year in all likelihood, but if they get into a garbage time game or a tricky situation where Kevon Looney can't play and you got another dude out there and you're going Jonathan Kuminga at the 5 against, I don't know, Rudy Gobert, which is a bad example because he's not on the schedule anytime soon. Like, right. But if you get into that situation, you want to know, like, hey, James Wiseman can give us 20 to 30 if he's on one, and not being able to really expand him as much. It's the reason that Klay Thompson went down to Santa Cruz in the first place. He needed more run. He needed more just experience against professional players who can understand the systems, give him a good sweat. And then, then you bring it back to the NBA level. The NBA, they don't practice very much. It's incredible that he's been able to get in these 2 scrimmages, but it's not as if they're going like full bore, NBA style 5-on-5 for 48 minutes. Whereas in the G League, they'll run a lot longer. So they need to see that. I don't know how many times they need to see that. I'd expect a couple of times. But I would keep an eye on February 28th. That's Monday. That's G League Ignite versus Santa Cruz Warriors at the Kaiser Permanente Arena. That seems a far more likely option for James Wiseman to get G League run than certainly Saturday. And then beyond that, you get a game in Stockton against the Kings. That's not a bad drive at all. And then another couple home games for a lot of home games, actually. I don't think they leave the state of California for, well, I'm still scrolling, so it's going to be a minute. Yeah, March 29th. I imagine that James Wiseman will be back before then. So
absolutely. Kevin, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah,
on what Dieter's been saying?
Yeah, no, I mean, Dieter's right. Like, they did this with Klay Thompson. If you go back even further, DeMarcus Cousins was practicing in Santa Cruz. Stephen Curry, when he was coming back from his broken hand, had a practice in Santa Cruz. So this is what they do. And, like, you'll see this. Rajon Rondo is practice on assignment. Manu Ginobili's practice on assignment. I think it was kind of a big step for the G League this year when Serge Ibaka actually played in G League games as he was coming back. But, yeah, I mean, and February 28th, to Dieter's point, is even less stakes because that's an exhibition game. So, like, if you really want some carefree run, if he's ready to go, and I don't know if he'll be ready to go for, like, a G League basketball game, but that's, like, an even less pressure of an environment because Ignite just plays an exhibition schedule past the showcase. So if he's ready for then, that would be a really nice time to get James some run for sure.
I love it. When we come back, we're going to obviously delve into that a little more. I got a great soundbite from Stephen Curry that I think revealed a lot in terms of when we're going to see Wiseman play. First, we're going to talk about these Built Bars that people are just raving about. I mean, Dieter, you love these things. Hey, what's your favorite flavor these days, Dieter? What are you munching on?
It's always been cookies and cream, Cyrus. It's never deviated. It's always been
my favorite. I'm with you, man. I'm totally with you. Have you tried the Puffs? Supposedly they got these marshmallow Built Bars out now.
Way, or do I have to get Target and using this? Come on now.
They should send us some our way, but they've got these marshmallow puffs now. They're protein infused marshmallow. Kevin, you said you've tried some too, right?
I need to try some, especially if they come in cookies and cream. I mean, sign me up.
I'm still waiting for my shipment too, but they come in cookies and cream. The marshmallow puffs include cinnamony churro. I love churros. I can eat those all day and just get fat. Coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie. I mean, it's all over the place. They're covered in 100% real chocolate, including the puffs. Yes, 100% real chocolate. It's just a fraction of the calories, sugar, carbs. You get 17 grams of protein for each bar. All you got to do is go to built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15, and get 15% off your order. Again, the promo code is LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com for those amazingly delicious protein bars. That's built.com.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Warriors your first listen every day. We're free and available everywhere, wherever you find podcasts. He's Dieter Kurtenbach. You can follow him on Twitter at Dieter, and Kevin Danna, the voice of the Santa Cruz Warriors. You can follow him on Twitter at Kevo408. Gentlemen, I want to share this clip real quick. This is courtesy of NBC Sports Bay Area's Twitter account, and thank you for posting these. Stephen Curry, after the Trailblazers game, talked about James Wiseman and in those 5-on-5 scrimmages, and here's what Steph had to say.
He looked good. It was weird because it was like that rusty post All-Star break scrimmage where it was the overall game was pretty sloppy, but he had a lot of good energy. And I got that putback dunk, and he's just kind of chomping at the bit to get to the next step of his return to play schedule. So he's a beast when you look at him on the floor, especially with the rest of our team, how quote unquote undersized we are. He does stand out and can do some amazing things. It's just a matter of him getting comfortable and again just getting those reps. So it's a good step in terms of his comeback.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a player that's going to be playing anytime soon. What are your thoughts on that?
I think you're overanalyzing that. I think that Steph knows that the Warriors have made proclamations on when James Wiseman is going to come back, and those proclamations have proven to be incorrect because there's been a lot of ups and downs in this rehab process. So Steph's no dummy, man. He's not going out there and doing dumb things like you and I and making proclamations on when he's coming back. Come on now. Like Steph's way too media savvy. And if you want to say, oh, well, Steph is basically saying he's not coming back anytime soon, be my guest. But when he does come back relatively soon, are we going to blame Steph or are we going to blame your interpretation?
He used words like rusty. You know, I mean, there was just a few things in there that I took from that as saying like,
Cyrus, you heard the quote though. He wasn't referring to James Wiseman as rusty. Yeah. He was referring to
that's true. The whole team. Yeah, that's fair. So Kevin, I mean, I guess, can we get a prediction? I mean, Dieter, you're looking at the actual schedule, and Kevin, you threw out a few dates. If we had to ballpark this, when do you see Wiseman actually suiting up, if not for the Warriors Golden State team, at least the Santa Cruz team?
In the interest of keeping my job with Santa Cruz, not that I would get fired for making a prediction like that. It's not as draconian as I make it out to be. I mean, I do think it's sooner rather than later. I think that's probably good. Sometime. I mean, if he's playing in Santa Cruz, he's got to do it within a month because that's when the regular season ends, and it certainly sounds like he's more than on track to start playing since before April 1st. So, I'm just hoping to see him in Kaiser Permanente Arena.
Blink twice if it's February 28th. I do want to bounce a couple of non-James Wiseman questions off of Kevin.
Yeah, please. Let's move on.
I feel totally remiss considering that we have the expert as it comes to the G League. And I think that the G League is the most under-discussed aspect of the Warriors' overall excellence as an operation. What they have been able to do, I think, is very rare in this league, which is synergize bottom up and top bottom. And the way that they run the G League operation is really outstanding. And it's produced a lot of great things for this Warriors team. If not a Damian Lee, then what they were able to do with Jordan Poole and the G League beyond that, just such a valuable resource for not just the Warriors, but NBA teams on the whole. I just want your thoughts on that. Like Kevin, what do you think is most underrated about the G League? Is it the business aspect? Is it the ability for teams to sort of run the same systems the way that the Warriors do it? Is it just the straight up talent down there? Like, what if I were to say, Kevin, you're the expert on the G League, what is the most underrated aspect of the G League in your mind? What do you say?
I would say Dieter, what I've learned about this league is while there's 450 NBA regular season roster spots and 510 if you count the two-way contracts available, that there are well more than 510 players that can play in the NBA. And no, they're not all all-stars. They're not going to be the LeBron James or even Chris Middletons of the world. But the difference between an 11th man on an NBA roster and like your top 2 scorers on your G League roster is not much, if anything. There are guys that are more talented in the G League than guys that are on NBA rosters right now. That's just the way it is. It's just about fit or certain situations. Maybe you have a really good agent, and so you get that contract. Guys that are overseas that can also play in the NBA. Like the talent pool is out there, and it's only expanding. And the G League has done a really good job with these two-way contracts of keeping more guys, more Americans in the States. Those are 60 extra spots that instead of going overseas for a few $100,000, well, you can play in the NBA and the G League for a few $100,000.
Absolutely.
I thought the two-way contracts were huge for this league. I think like Ignite is huge for the G League. Getting those high school guys while this one and done rule is still in effect to get these guys into your program. And like really to me it showed with like when the Mitchell Robinson Western Kentucky thing was going down when he was unable to play for Western Kentucky. Oh, if they could have gotten Mitchell Robinson in the G League, like that could have like really done nice wonders for the league at that time. Now they're getting the Scoot Hendersons, the Jonathan Kumingas, and the Jalen Greens. That's huge. The next thing I would like to see is for, Klay Thompson scrimmage. Why not play 10 minutes in a regular season game? Like, rehab assignments for minor league baseball. You see that all the time. I'm not sure if we're close to that happening in the G League. I've been thinking about this for 10 years. But really, it is the talent. Then I say number 2 would be the synergy. And it's not just Golden State. Like the Thunder have done a really good job with their G League outfit. Their head coach coached their G League team for 5 years, Mark Daigneault. The Celtics have done a pretty good job there. Houston and RGV. People laughed at the RGV Vipers when they were shooting 53s a game. This was like 8-9 years ago.
I remember that.
People silently, I thought this isn't basketball. It's like a bastardized version of basketball. The Reno Bighorns were shooting 53s a game. They were subbing out. They were subbing 5 in, 5 out every 2 minutes, and it was different.
Yes.
But people are shooting they're shooting 3s and non-paint 2s. And in the G League, they've been doing this for 8 to 9 years, some teams. And so it looked funny at the time, but now the NBA is doing it.
Yeah.
And so
I love the small town
talent, the strategy is what we're hearing. Yeah.
And I love the small town feel of it too. I really do, man. Like these towns that they're picking, Santa Cruz is obviously the elite, but Birmingham, Sioux City. It's incredible. I love it.
Kevin, is there a stylistic trend that you're seeing develop at the G League at this juncture? What is the future of the NBA if something's developing?
Yeah, honestly, we talk about how the mid-range has kind of gone by the wayside with respect to DeMar DeRozan, who's obviously had been a master of the mid-range. But I had the RGV Vipers head coach Mahmoud Abdul Fattah told me we take less than 1 non-paint 2 a game.
Whoa!
And then, it's to the extreme. It's literally either in the paint or beyond the arc. And
Wow.
So we're not going back to the mid-range anytime soon. As far as from a development, from a strategy standpoint, there are going to be guys who operate in the mid-range. Marcus Morris, and I filled in for the Clippers game, and that's why I bring this up, because Marcus Morris attempts 4.5 non-paint 2s a game, and my mind immediately went to that RGV quote where they as a team take less than 1 non-paint 2 a game, and it's just the way it is right now.
Yeah, it's incredible.
I got one more for you here. I saw that Jacob Evans III he's been down with Santa Cruz now for a minute now, but I saw that they're playing him at center. Is he the two-way big that the Warriors need to get through to the end of the season?
Is this the same Jacob Evans for the first-round pick a few years ago for the Warriors?
Jacob Evans, otherwise it wouldn't be funny.
Oh my God!
If you're looking for a 6'6" center, Jacob Evans is your man. Yeah, GSW Reddit tweeted out he's a plus 21 in his last 27 minutes at the 5.
Awesome.
So I mean, so the Santa Cruz Birmingham game last night, Birmingham had a big get injured, Ike Anigbogu, former second-round pick of the Pacers. They had a 5-man lineup with 4 guys at 6'2" and 1 at 6'1". I've never seen a lineup that smaller in my life.
Kevin, I got to ask you this, man, because as when I played myself and always little, I hated when coaches put me in positions like a power forward, center position. I was not comfortable. I hated banging with bigger guys. Are the players accepting of this? Like, are they okay with being put in these positions they're uncomfortable with, relatively speaking, given they never played it their entire career?
I mean, I can only talk about like LJ Figueroa is a guy who, former Oregon Duck. He's a professional rookie. He's the small ball 5 for Santa Cruz. He's 6'6", and like they're also working on him getting leaner at the same time. Like they want him to get a little bit skinnier. Not that he's out of shape or anything, but they want him to get a little leaner, and they also want him to play the 5. And so he's kind of playing a small ball 5 while trying to cut just a couple of pounds, but not exactly beefing up necessarily. And so that's interesting to watch. And I mean, he's doing as good of a job as he can. I think he has potential at the next level, not as a center, but as kind of a wing potentially. He's averaging 14 and 8 for Santa Cruz this year. If he can get his 3-point shot to go a little more consistently at the professional level, I think he was like 37% at Oregon or something like that. If he can get it up to that level, I think he definitely has a chance. He plays hard. One of those kind of smart players who knows how to move without the basketball. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely an adjustment for a guy like him to play the 5, but he has willingly played it pretty much all season long. He's the starting center right now after they traded Jordan Bell.
That's incredible. I always willingly did it, but inside I cringed and I was angry. I just hated it, but
it's totally
it was me wonder.
Thing,
I want to share this soundbite real quick. Speaking of Kuminga, who had a fantastic game, his progress is just evolving by the day. And this soundbite did nothing but warm my cuckles, because this is exactly what you want to hear from him. This was Jonathan Kuminga after last night's Warriors victory.
I mean, I want to keep it real. I don't think the team really need me to shoot. We got like at least 7 shooters, and 3 of them the best shooters in the league. So I don't need to be out there chasing threes. And I know I can get to the free throw line or to the line easy. So I need to be shooting.
The big key there with Kuminga is the 10 of 12.
Nah, just the entire time I've been with the team, because we have the greatest shooters. I don't need to be shooting. So
there you go. Sorry, Deary, go ahead.
Yeah, no. For those who aren't watching on YouTube, what he's alluding to there is that he went to the free throw line and shot 12 free throws last night against Portland, and made 10 of them, which that's a new development, which I'm very fond of. The Warriors are going to, as much as this hurts me to say, your cockles might be warm. I'm not totally thrilled with this, but it is a necessary evil. Like, the Warriors are going to have to start going to the free throw line more over these final 20-something games, and certainly come playoff time. And if Jonathan Kuminga can develop a skill set, which if he can further explore the skill set that he naturally has and has done a really good job with the coaching staff of developing this year of drawing fouls, that's a huge asset. Now he's got to knock down the damn free throws, which he did last night, and big ups to him. Hopefully that's a trend that continues moving forward. But he's special, man. He's really special.
Oh man.
I mean, Kevin, you would obviously, the G-League last year was a tricky situation, to say the least. Yeah. His draft stock seemed to fall from playing in the G-League. He was talked about a lot as a number 1 overall pick, plays for Ignite, and kind of swap places with Jalen Green. Still a very high draft pick, and he's going to make plenty of money in his career. What did you see from Kuminga when he was in the G-League, and what surprised you most about his first year as a professional in the NBA?
So, Dieter, it's funny. The very first game he ever played in the G League was against Santa Cruz.
That's right.
And my first thought after the first couple quarters, I'm like, this guy is clearly better than Jalen Green. Oh, and then the rest of the season happened. And I was like, oh, he's clearly not better than Jalen Green.
I remember the same thing. I remember the tweets being hot and heavy, because apparently the G League bubble was wonderful in the sense that we were all watching G League all afternoon because there was nothing else to do. Yeah. And we're just like, well, G League's on at 10 a.m. We're going to watch it all day long until NBA games come on. And I remember the Kuminga buzz was really serious after game 1, but you're 100% right. After that, it really did die down. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, no problem. And it's not that like and Jalen Green, probably had a more consistent season after the first couple of games. Kuminga got hurt. And so they're like, oh, he only played 13 games in the G League. Well, there were only 15 games to be had. So it's not like he missed this huge chunk of time. But yeah, I would say like he didn't progress in the way that Jalen Green progressed last year.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that kind of stood out to me as I kind of watched more film of that season after the Warriors drafted him is that the shot looked good, but the arc was never the same. Sometimes it'd be a line drive. Sometimes it'd be kind of more of a rainbow. And what has impressed me this year is with the respect to the free throws, how he has brought his percentage up so much, like in season. Usually, like you kind of expect that to be all right. If he's going to be around mid 50s by December or January, this is kind of where he is for this year. Now, after 10 for 12 last night, I think he's up to like 67% or 66, 67%, which is not insignificant from where I'm standing. And now, after the 1 for 2 from 3 last night, he's taking better shots, and he's close to 33% from 3. He was 32.2 going into last night's game. 1 for 2, you do the math, it's probably somewhere around 32.6. There you go.
There it is. You're all over.
Round up. Let's round up, gentlemen.
So yeah,
and just because we got to wrap things up, and we've been doing this for 40 minutes now, I completely lost track of time. I love that soundbite for the simple reason that Kuminga is accepting his role. He understands what the Warriors need from him. He's not out there for individual accolades or to do what he thinks is best. He's fully cognizant of the fact he's got the perspective that they don't need me to shoot threes. They need me to get in the paint and do what I actually like to. I just love that whole thing. And
yeah,
Kevin, go ahead.
I was just going to say, quick learner. That's really impressed me from a 19-year-old.
Anything you want to promote, Kevin, before we wrap things up? Sorry.
Can you give me one name from the G League right now that's going to be somebody that we're all going to know in a couple of years' time? One name in the G League today. Doesn't have to be anywhere.
Scoot Henderson, G League Ignite, 17-year-old. He's going to play 2 years with Ignite. This guy, Jaylen Brown, said he's the best 17-year-old he's ever seen.
Wow.
Good to know.
There you go.
Good to know.
Yeah.
And those are insights you're getting from very few people. And Kevin Danna is one of them, the voice of the Santa Cruz Warriors. You can follow Dieter on Twitter at Dieter. You can follow Kevin Danna on Twitter at Kevo408. The G League Warriors, at G League Warriors? Is that correct?
At G League Warriors, yes, sir.
Awesome. I got it down. And you can follow me on Twitter at DogSurfRoadshow and this program on Twitter at Locked on Dubs. The Warriors play the Mavericks, an unusual start time Sunday, 4:30. It's on national TV. Go Warriors, and we'll see you all next week. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Dieter. Thanks, everyone. Take care, everyone. Later.